Hello and welcome to the creaking salt-soaked tables of the Brazen Hydra pub in Bilgewater. We're your hosts, Ent Grove and
Conquest,
and today we'll be sharing a pint and talking all things Runeterra and beyond. So we kind of got a decently packed episode this time. We're gonna try to get through everything again. We're gonna talk more about the beasts we may see in the Riot MMO, the what we killing. We might have a whole series around that at this point. What we killing series.
we'll get around to that eventually. We'll actually cover all the beasts we want to see, maybe one day.
Oh yeah, and then we got cross character progression. You mentioned that last time. I think it's something we should talk about again. And then Arcane Season 2 coming out this year. It's a big thing. If you haven't watched Arcane Season 1, I definitely recommend it because you have champions like Embasa Madarda, who is coming to the Rift pretty soon. And I also want to talk about one more champion, a little known guy called Smolder. You may be familiar with him, the fiery fledgling. And the reason I want to talk about Smolder, just really quickly, specific to the Riot MMO, is I have a video coming out pretty soon on Smolder and his lore and stuff. I was going through his lore, and at the end of his biography, because it turns out Smolder is actually from Camavor. And if you know who Viego is, he's from Camavor. He led to the Ruination. At the end of his bio, it says, "And one day, when he is ready, they will return together to their ancestral home to usher in a new golden age for Camavor." I'm going to call this right now. We already said, me and you, right? Camavor is going to be an expansion. That's an easy, 100%.
Absolutely. There's no way it doesn't happen.
Exactly.
Like Viego alone is enough for us to warrant a Camavor expansion.
And Viego is trapped in Camavor. And Viego causing the Ruination really screwed over the Imperial Dragons to the point where they're all pretty much dead. And the Imperial Dragons were like dragons that kind of allied with the Camavorian kings.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and Smolder right now is in Noxus because, so basically, he was in Camavor. The place was falling apart. His mother kept journeying further and further to try to get him food. And then Noxian Beastmasters, which a lot of those guys are like, they basically look for beasts. People can fight them in the arenas. They stole Smolder away, his egg, while he was on the ship. And then she ended up figuring out where the ship was. She destroyed it, blew it up. But then Smolder ended up like getting lost, his egg getting lost, and he ended up on an island. I don't think it was an egg. He might have hatched by then. But anyways, he ends up on an island. And then he ends up living in Noxus. And she eventually finds him. So right now they are in Noxus. And then I think that's how we're going to link back to Camavor one day. It'll be with Smolder. And we'll be like going to meet the Imperial Dragons and retake Camavor. And we all know Viego is in Camavor after the events of the Sentinels of Light.
So do you think Smolder's going to be like our guide during the Camavor expansion, essentially? He's going to be like our go-to man that we're going to be talking to a lot throughout the whole expansion?
I think at the beginning, for sure, like Smolder's going to be a big piece of like, getting introduced and everything. But I think his mother. Yeah, his mother, who's more, she's actually been to Camavor. I mean, he doesn't remember anything about Camavor. He's just like a little kid.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
He was never actually in Camavor, right? Even just as like a kid. So
exactly. But I think his mother, that's a big, easy one.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Man, I'm surprised. Is this like the second time we're seeing any involvement with Camavor? It's only been Viego up until now, right?
Yeah. No, just Viego. I mean, the book, The Ruination, is talks a lot about Camavor, but other than that, we've never heard about Camavor until now with Smolder. Other than Viego, obviously, and like the other champions in the Blessed Isles that are from Camavor.
Yeah, dude. It's crazy to think about because this is such a massive continent that obviously is pretty important in the lore that like, even if you're a bit of a lorehead, you might just not even know about it.
Yeah.
Like unless you read the Ruination. Yeah. Like it's insane, dude.
It's just like a city too. You have those in the map of Camavor, you have that whole basically unknown lands that are attached to Camavor. I mean, it's a whole nother, basically all new Runeterra on that side of the world. And all we know is Camavor. Which is basically like, it's like if Camavor looks at our side and all they know is Ionia
Like
or
Ionia. Yeah, like they just see
yeah,
that island. They're like, oh, okay, that's the other side.
yeah. Or just like they see like a
Yeah,
piece, like they'll see Noxus, but they know nothing else about Runeterra. Something like that. That's
yeah,
like comparable to how we see Camavor.
yeah. It's just insane. I love how Riot definitely intentionally keeps their options open with a lot of stuff like this. Just like how many open-ended problems we have in Runeterra. We also have some open-ended landscapes that like clearly are supposed to lead off somewhere that we don't know yet.
Hmm.
And like maybe even they don't know yet. Like they leave it there so when the time comes if they want to add, another freaking snow continent, they can do that. Just put it on the other side of Camavor. I think that's really
Yeah.
cool. I think it's very clever of them.
Yeah, they left it like I do feel like the Blizzard map when they first made World of Warcraft was very complete. Like that was Azeroth. Uh
Yeah,
and I
definitely.
feel like they're intentionally with the map of Runeterra, they're showing that it's not like when you look at the world
It's
map,
not
when you looked
complete.
at world map in the classic WoW, like that was the world, what we saw, and that was the whole world.
Yeah.
With Runeterra, they're intentional with the fact that it's not the complete world. You look at the Pantheon cinematic and Legends of Runeterra when he upgrades or whatever to level
Oh
2,
yeah.
you can
Yeah, where it
clearly
shows the
see
whole
that it's
planet
not
and
the
it's
whole
like,
world. Yeah.
wow.
Like you're only
Yeah.
seeing one face of it and the whole other face is just we don't know what's going on over there.
Yeah, dude. Even
Yeah.
just like I'm like in the case of like World of Warcraft and that world known as Azeroth, like the thing wasn't even that like oh like they could have put a whole other side of the world on that, but it
Hmm.
would still just feel like, oh, okay, they just added another continent, like
Yeah.
out of nowhere, out of the blue. It's just on the other side of the world now.
Yeah.
But with this case with Runeterra, even on the Runeterra map, we still have that North Pole, South Pole, right? Where we know nothing, but we know it's there. And I think that's so genius.
Yep.
Just the implication that things could be there leaves room for us to imagine what it could be and for Riot to do whatever the hell they want with it whenever they want.
Yeah.
It's just a very smart move, especially from an MMO perspective.
Well, the North Pole, South Pole, like I know there definitely could be a South Pole, but that is assuming that Runeterra is on like the same axis as Earth in terms of how it rotates. And there are some places of the Freljord that I wouldn't be surprised are like eternally dark, where the sun almost never reaches, it's always nighttime. Like I could see the
Oh yeah.
Frostguard Citadel in the north almost never gets any light. And I could see that if it's on an axis, that would make Shurima, the bottom part of the planet and closest to the sun, and that's why it's like deserty. So that would make sense too. Or they could do it where you're kind of just half. It could definitely be half, but we
Oh, you
don't
mean
know.
like it could just be like I imagine that that Shadima is closer to the equator,
Equator.
right?
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, so yeah, like they could do a whole bottom half. I think you're right about that. That would be interesting. And I
Yep.
mean like it makes sense. Yeah, like if we're comparing it to Earth,
Yeah. If
which
it's the
I
same
feel
as
like
Earth,
makes sense
there's a
given
whole
the fact
bottom
that
half.
Freljord's up to the north and it's very cold. So I could see them doing that for sure. And it would make so much sense. Oh, they're setting themselves up so intentionally and it's so genius.
And I
So
cannot
many
wait
open
to
ends,
just
dude.
enter Runeterra. In the meantime, while I'm waiting for the Riot MMO, we do got Bandle Tale coming out.
We do. It's
Yeah.
close.
How you feeling
Oh my
about
god,
Bandle Tale?
dude. I at this point I'm just ready to start playing. Like I'm ready to finally explore Bandle City instead of just looking at pictures and maybe that one really cool Teemo cinematic where everything's all cutesy, you know? I'm ready to actually just walk around in Bandle City. I'm really glad that I didn't have to wait for the Riot MMO for that to happen. And that we're getting that final Riot Forge game. They just slipped it in last second. Thank goodness. Dude, I'm ready to see it.
Yeah, I want some fuzzy socks, a pot of tea. I'm gonna sit in my basement on a very comfortable couch, and I got it on the Switch, so I'm playing it handheld. That just seems like that's the vibe I'm getting from that game. That's how I want to play.
Oh man, dude. Oh, here's a good question. How accurate, like how much do you think they care about the actual like geography and locations inside of Bandle Tale compared to like, do you think that's actually going to be the canonical layout of Bandle City? You know, do you think the MMO will be drastically? I think it will be different, obviously, to some extent, because it's going to be, you know, like a 3D game compared to a top-down 2D game. But do you think they're actually going to keep it like that's Bandle City? These are the, like, you know, iconic shops. These are where they're located for the most part. How accurate do you think it's going to be compared to future titles in the MMO specifically
Yeah. So
for the Bandle
so for
City?
those who don't understand what he's alluding to, right? He's said there you in the game, you're actually in a place called Yarnville, which is an isolated
Mhm.
island that's a part of Bandle City. And
Yeah.
I always thought Bandle City was one place, but this place is like an island that's connected to a portal that connects to the rest of Bandle City. And so I hope
Mhm.
that Yarnville is in the game, right?
Yeah, right. I think that's guaranteed already, right? Like, no, I'd be shocked if it wasn't.
Yeah. I hope, I mean, I feel like there's no reason for it not to be included and for people to say, oh my God, look, it's Yarnville and the Riot MMO. Like I did this, I explored this
Yeah,
back in Bandle Tale. They haven't said anything about whether Bandle Tale is canon or not yet.
that's the
For
big
fact, like
thing.
any of the Riot Forge games. The one that would kill me is if they say Viego, the Rune King, I would really like to see as canon. And
Dude,
I would
that's
like to
one
see
where
the
I'm
Sentinels of
like,
Light
it's a
canon.
given, right?
Yeah.
There's so much story there. That is easily the most story dense like game out of the Riot Forge collection, to a point where it would be insane to just leave all that there and like leave it behind.
Here's what I
'Cause,
will
oh
say.
man, dude.
I'm very, very confident. I'm as confident. I won't say that because that's a spoiler for Arcane season 2. Not everyone knows that, and I'm pretty confident in that too. But I'm gonna say I'm so confident that this is all canon and that Viego is in Camavor at the start of the Riot MMO and not in the Shadow Isles, because
Mhm.
him being in Camavor makes more sense. And there's so much in the Shadow Isles you wouldn't need Viego to make it amazing. But putting Viego in Camavor, he's like that one huge connection to Camavor. Obviously, now you have Smolder,
Yeah.
so you have a couple other connections, but like being just like, oh yeah, the Imperial Dragons, that's why we're going there. Versus the Imperial Dragons are there, they have history with Viego, and Viego is trapped in Camavor in like a stasis. That sounds way better. And for the Shadow Isles, you can use Thresh. Like Thresh is almost he's that kind of big bad of the Shadow Isles at the end of the day. And I feel like that's why that
Mhm.
Rune King I think will stay canon. I think the Sentinels of Light, although some people don't like it, is gonna stay canon because that puts Viego in a good place for the MMO.
I completely agree.
Yes.
Absolutely. It
Yeah.
just no, no, I'm like also like 90% certain that Ruined King is gonna be canon.
I hope so,
I'm
man. I love
surprised they
the
haven't
Rune
come out
King.
with it yet because there's so
Yeah.
much, dude. Way too much happens to the point where I'm like, Riot definitely had a hand in the major plot points of Ruined King.
Yeah. Like
Like, no
Ari
way they were just
discovering her
like,
people and
yeah, dude, here's
everything.
Runeterra, go ham. No, they definitely planned that out.
Yeah. The relationship with between Ari and Yasuo kind of develops in Rune King. And then you like feel Ari's connection to her people and stuff when she discovers in the Shadow Isles. To take all that back and be like, oh yeah, Ari's just this lost fox and she doesn't know who the heck Yasuo is, it wouldn't feel good.
Yeah, like, yeah, exactly. It would feel like we are taking away
Yeah.
progress made in Runeterra,
Been on way
which
too
is
much of an
just like,
emotional journey.
yeah, dude, that was way too story driven of a game. Like, all right, like Convergence, I understand. Like, it is definitely pretty wild what happens in that game,
Yeah.
and you can kind of wash it away with like, oh, time travel nonsense, whatever. And it's the entire focus is just one character. It's Echo.
Yeah.
But like, dude, Rune King, come on, that game. The story was Runeterra. It was Shadow Isles and Bilgewater mostly, but the story, the characters, so much, dude.
Yeah.
It's
It has to
no,
stay
like it's
canon in
canon.
my opinion.
It's canon. Like no, dude, it's canon for sure. But
There's
yeah,
another
back.
oh
But
god.
do you think? Oh, I was just saying, like, do you think that they're gonna stay accurate to like their previous canon titles in general in terms of like geography and like landscapes, like even like Ruined King, if they come out and say it's canon, or like Song of Nunu, we know for a fact is canon. Do you think we're gonna see those like just locations where it was like, oh yeah, this was where like Nunu and Willem camped out in
It
Song of
would
Nunu? Like, do you
would
think
be
they're gonna
such
go
a
that
missed
accurate?
opportunity. It would be
I
such
would
a
hope
missed
so.
opportunity if they don't. Yarnville, I want to see
Right, dude?
Yarnville
All the
when we
little
explore
stuff.
Bandle City. Yeah, I want to see
Yeah.
uh like some kind of reference, the like for example, we see Anivia's that mountain, the winged mountain the whole time in Song of Nunu.
Yeah,
Like, man, there's
that
got
too.
to
Yeah,
be
the
the
Wing
winged
Mountain. You
mountain in the
have to see it.
Freljord.
You
Yeah.
have to see it.
Then I could be like,
No,
oh,
that
I've been
Wing
there.
Mountain for sure in the MMO. Yeah, yeah. No way we don't see it. It's way too cool of a landmark too. Like, it's a massive landmark. You can't miss it. That's like them just forgetting the sun disk. Like, oh
Yeah.
shoot, we just
well,
have we just
well,
awkwardly have this city without the floating disk. Our bad, guys. No, no, it's gonna be there. Those landmarks have to exist.
depending on when they start, when the timeline starts, the sun disk might be buried. But I also think that would be weird. I
Dude,
mean, then Azir
that'd be
wouldn't be
very
existed. He'd be
crazy.
dead. I don't want to start at a point where I know what's gonna happen. But
Me too. That would bother me.
yeah, I
Like,
don't want to start at a point where I like the lore. We go back in time, like okay, the lore is not caught up, but at the same time, I don't mind not having everything. Like I don't mind it. I want the world to be as it is currently in the lore. Certain
yeah.
things need to be changed. Obviously, there's certain characters that are just kind of way out there that need to be put in line kind of with the current lore, especially with Arcane and the new lore around Hextech. But at the same time, I want the world to be like how I'm saying Viego needs to be in Camavor. I want the world to feel as it is now. And then, but I don't mind only exploring and expanding that lore in a couple locations, like not the whole world. That's why I mean piecemeal the whole world. It doesn't need to be the entire map of Runeterra, as long as the entire map of Runeterra is there. Like I don't need to be exploring Shurima, but I don't want the sun disk not to be there. Like people should be talking about the sun disk
Yeah.
and be like, oh yeah, there's this guy Azir who rose in Shurima and like the sun disk is back. It's
Oh
crazy
yeah.
over there. I'd be like, no way, I'd love to go. They're like, well, you can't because there's an invisible wall. Like, oh, okay.
Oh, you can't. The devs haven't finished that part yet.
But you could try. Go
But
ahead,
yeah,
try. You just stop moving. They're like, yeah, were you happy? Did you try? Okay. Go explore
yeah.
the rest
Try
of what
going
we
to
did.
Ishtal, loser. See what happens.
Vines just rip you apart.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think for sure they're gonna have to do some what's it called, exposition is what I'm going for each of the zones.
Hmm.
For sure, because I mean, like, how many League of Legends players are gonna hop into this MMO and like not know anything
A
other than
lot.
like the heroes, the champions? So like they're not gonna know what the heck Shadima is. They're not gonna know why there's a giant floating dinner plate in the sky. They're gonna need that explained to them in the MMO for sure. I
Hmm.
I, I think that's gonna be a general thing for the like starting zones, especially. So I think later, like expansions wise, like we get Camavor as an expansion, they can set up to that a lot more easily rather than us going there and then receiving all of like the history of Camavor, you know? At least I hope so, like in terms of like pre-patch and stuff like that. If they do like pre-patches, that sort of thing. I would hope so. I would hope that like, we know about Camavor, we know things about it before we actually go there. So when we
Yeah.
do, all the story doesn't have to be thrown at us of why we're going there, you know? We're just like there. We know what's going on. Let's get into the action. Here are the new events that are happening in Camavor. Here's the story progressing.
Yeah. Well,
While the very first like zones, yeah, we're gonna need that stuff spoon fed to us when we're going to each zone for sure.
I get what you're saying. So what you're saying is that let's say we're in expansion 1. Expansion 1 should be laying the framework not only for expansion 2, but expansion 3 and small tidbits of expansion 4. So then the next
Yes.
expansion should be okay, preparing expansion 3, a little bit more of expansion 4 and then tidbits of expansion 5. So you got to be thinking like 4 expansions ahead lore-wise. So it doesn't become here are all the new characters, this is the new classes, the new big bad that you're just about to meet, and let's go kick his butt. Let's go over to this island and let's
Yes.
do it. Yeah, that's what you want to avoid. Uh,
Absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah. I think that's such a big issue with MMOs. Like modern MMOs have been going on for like a decade or longer, where you can tell they're just kind of they ran out of steam a while ago. They're still going. So they just gotta throw new stuff at you every year, every 2 years for the
Hmm.
sake of to keep the MMO going. It should feel very natural. I understand that at the beginning, yeah, it's definitely going to be a lot of setup and a lot of explaining like you're a newborn child what every zone is in its history. But yeah, after that, things just start feeling very organic.
Yeah,
That
and
that
once you
that's
fall back,
my
it's hard to
opinion.
catch up.
Yeah,
You can't catch
absolutely.
up. Like then you're just always okay. We have nothing prepped for expansion 4, and we're on expansion 3. But we have to now lay the whole framework for expansion 4 and introduce everything. For sure, you're not going to get everything. You'll be able to like do tidbits for expansion 4, and then expansion 4 is going to have to explain everything. That's what you don't want. But then if you fall back, you
Yeah.
can't recover.
Yep. That's the truth of it. Or else you're just constantly gonna be chasing, like, oh man, we're not at all prepared for how expansion 5 is gonna lead into expansion 4, but we're gonna figure it out when we get there. And that does not make for a cool world. That just makes for a new expansion.
Here's a question for you. So you're in this
Mhm.
world, right? They're trying to give you the lore. How do you think they should do that in the game? Because it has to be in the
Oh
game. Like,
man.
not everything can be. I liked the idea that we had before with like Riot Forge kind of delving into these smaller stories that help flesh out the world. That's not a thing anymore.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's going to be something else that's kind of used for that.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
how do you think they should do it in the game, in the MMO, to flesh out these stories?
Yeah. That's a good question because I think guaranteed, right? Runeterra is going to be pretty story driven.
Oh yeah.
There's already so many characters. My God, just off of League of Legends alone, with them wanting to release a new champion, every like couple months or so, it leads to a lot of characters in the world of Runeterra that they're going to explore all of them at some point. I think, at least to some extent.
Hmm.
So that leads to, man, like I mean, obviously, I think in terms of a linear story, which I hope they don't do, at least especially for the first expansion, like I think Final Fantasy 14 does a really good job of making a linear story of just you're gonna have your cutscenes where your characters do their cool little poses, you know, they have their dialogues that are just gonna be text as their mouth moves. You might have some voice acted cutscenes, like every like 30 minutes or so you're gonna have a voice acted cutscene. So like for what Final Fantasy 14 does, for what they want to accomplish, I think that's great. It's not my, cup of tea on how I want to experience MMO, but if Riot wants to go that way, that's how they should do it.
Can
And
I?
then you got games like World of Warcraft where it's just a lot more quest text, and if you want to skip it and get through all the story stuff and just get right into the action with your friends, that's cool too. So it's kind of it comes down to how story driven they want to be, and that leads to a very different MMO.
Here's yeah. So I agree 100%. Like with those two, you have the world feel where it's like they call it playground MMO, I think, or something like that. Then there's like the
That's
narrative driven
I want to say
MMO where it's
theme
just a
park or something
linear
like that.
story,
Yeah.
or theme park MMO. Yeah, theme park MMO. Even though like even that seems to be it's like all the ride. One ride is almost a narrative driven single linear story. So it's just
Yeah.
like a bunch of single linear stories combined rather than an actual theme park MMO. Uh, what I will say is that the thing that makes the world and events special is that they're limited, and if you miss it, you can't go back in time. In the real
Mhm.
world, like let's say that your whole family is going on a trip, and you say, "Ah, I don't want to go." You can't regret it later and be like, "Oh, I should have gone. It would have been fun." Like that's it. It already passed. And that's how a world needs to feel. Like sometimes, yeah, you do miss stuff. I understand there's the main story plot that every player needs to experience. And it's a cool idea that, okay, you missed this, but if you want to go back and experience it, you can. But at the same time, it's if the world can advance and that it's like, oh yeah, there was this world war, like in real life, you can't just go back and experience world war II, not that you'd want to, or World War I or
Yeah.
whatever, but people will
Yeah.
talk about it, and be like, oh yeah,
Mhm.
this was a crazy thing, if only you were there, it was a crazy time. Like
Yeah,
there's a
you
lot of
can read
veterans
about
that you
it.
can ask about, yeah, that kind of thing. I think it's okay for the world to move forward, but I understand that that's it's hard to do because then okay, now we're not now our content is very here it is, and now it's gone. Here it is, and now it's gone. But that is how a world is, the real world. So
Yeah.
I would like to see that. I know you can't make it exactly like the real world, but I would like to see some of that where stuff happens and it happened. I don't know,
Dude,
it's
I'm gonna
tough.
drop the line. I
Do
think
it.
we're in the minority on this, but I
Duh.
totally agree.
Well, how
I
far
think
would you
I don't
go
know,
with
dude.
that?
Like, I would personally, if this MMO was solely for me and no one else,
Do
they're
it.
making the Runeterra MMO
Do
for
it.
conquest. Yeah, yeah. No, yeah, dude. Just once things happen, this could be on a stinking, like, at most an expansion based basis. They could go even further than that.
Oh,
That's
so you're
how much
saying
I would
like that's
want it to
it?
be
Like
like.
they did the raid came out, you did the raid or you didn't do the raid, and that raid is done. You're saying it's
Yeah,
gone. Like that's it. Like
dead
you can't go
serious. Yeah,
back. You missed it. You missed it.
yeah,
Hey,
absolutely. Like, all right, there's some like awesome stuff that happened in Camavor. All right, we got through the raids. We killed the big bad. He's dead. You can't go back and kill him. He's dead. We killed him.
that would definitely make the
So
world
like,
feel like very real and moving forward and very
very. I
sad.
don't.
Like you want to feel
There's no
sad
way
when
in
a
hell they're
character
gonna do it.
dies. That's how you will feel sad
Yeah,
when a character dies because they're actually out of the game.
yeah, they're
They you will
gone.
feel the death. Like you can't just go back and rerun the raid and be like, oh yeah, that was so sad when he died. Like man, when Arthas dies at
Dude.
the top of Ice Crown Citadel, like that's it. Like the guy just died. He's
Yeah,
gone.
I
Like
would
you next
actually love it.
expansion, you go there and you can't. Arthas isn't there because what do you mean? They already fought. Like in our case,
And the
yeah,
thing is, like,
you were in the Camavor. You're fighting your work, whatever, figuring out this Viego stuff. But you can't go back to the Shadow Isles and revisit, Thresh's area and see Thresh just chilling there because it's now the Blessed Isles and the Shadow Isles is no more.
yeah, yeah, like that's it. Shadow Isles is done. You can read about it. I'm sure there's gonna be a billion YouTube videos of people doing the fights. You can see it all, but you can't just go there and fight Thresh. That's
Man,
it, dude. The story happened. The world's moving on. You got other things to do. All
I'll
right.
s- hey, I'll say this: like I think more players would be invested in what's happening, and
That's true.
you would definitely hook people a lot more because they're like, man, I don't really like I don't really want to play this raid. I just want to kind of skip it. But at the same time, like if I skip it, that's it. Man, oh, casuals are gonna hate this. But look, I'm a casual.
Dude,
I
everyone's
gotta
gonna
be
stream
honest.
FOMO.
Oh,
Everyone's
okay.
gonna stream FOMO, and
But
I'm
yeah, but
like, bro,
that's
it's
real
not even
life.
about like, yeah, exactly. And it's just like, I don't know, dude. Like, why do you have FOMO in the first place? Can you really not just walk away from the game if you don't feel like playing it, and then be okay that you didn't experience everything in the game, and it
Look,
makes a better product at the end of the day for it? Like, I personally think it makes a better product, but
yeah,
that's just me. I think it's well worth it of just, being able to come back to the game and being like, oh, what happened since I last, like was in Runeterra? It's like, oh man, dude, this zone that you were in before, yeah, dude, that's the Blessed Isles now. I'm like, what?
what
And you
happened?
go there and it's
And there's like,
different. And it's like,
yeah,
oh, the world changed. It's almost like this is a living, breathing place. That's wild. I just think it would make for a much more like it would make for so much more of a magical, immersive MMO. That's
look,
just me. That's my
if you want
opinion.
to complain about FOMO, complain about when they release the discounts for the store cosmetics and they're limited in time, or they're cycling through items that are going to leave the store forever and you'll never be able to get them. That's when you can complain about FOMO. But when you, not the
Yeah.
world advancing, okay? That's when I want to see the FOMO people come out. They never come out for that. Where are they at? Whenever that's happening, everyone's silent and they're all running around with their Imperial Dragon leading into the Camavor expansion, and there's only one Imperial Dragon. It makes no freaking sense. But
Yeah, they
their
always do that.
expansion packs, their Imperial Dragon out. But then when it comes to this stuff, now everyone comes out and says, "Oh, if you're missing out, this sucks. This is catering to the elitists." Like I wish people knew that me and you are actually casual players.
We're
We are
very
100%
casual. I
casual
would I would
players.
absolutely miss out on stuff. And there'd
Yeah,
be stuff that I would miss that I would wish I would have done because I'd be like, "Oh, that's a really cool armor set. Wish I got that one from that
yeah.
expansion." From oh man, that Freljord armor set. That's sick. This dude's all covered in like true ice armor. That's so freaking cool. I wish I did that. Oh well, I'm doing this right now. This is really cool. If I go to Freljord now, it's different. Things have changed. The Watchers are now even more aware that that place is turning to hell. And that's really cool. That's way cooler than me having the armor set.
Yes. 100 and 1,000 billion%. Look, this is how you know me and you are casual. There hasn't been even a piece of news out on the Riot MMO really, other than the announcement that they're making an MMO and it's based on Runeterra. It's the only news we have, and it's taken us close to 20. How many episodes are we on right now? What episode is this? Isn't this
I
like
think this is
11?
12.
12. It's
It's
taken us
11
12
or 12,
episodes.
somewhere around
Yeah,
there.
just to get up to that point. Like by the time the game actually comes out, like when the game is actually out, we'd probably be a horrible source of information because we'd be missing everything.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Sadly,
That's
we both have like like full-time jobs and responsibilities. We're gonna be playing this game casually for sure.
yeah,
But
we'll be
god
a
damn it, are
casual
we gonna love
podcast.
every second of it? Oh my god.
We'll be your casual
Like
podcast for the casual players. We're not going to go
yeah.
through like mythic plus statistics and how best to do. That's never going to be us. Like we're probably going to be like, yeah, bro, we didn't kill those mushrooms, and
Yeah.
I got this mushroom pet, and it was awesome. You
Yeah,
didn't
yeah,
do the
we're gonna
raid, you're
be
going to miss
talking about
it.
how Echo's clothes have changed a slightly different tint of brown now. You
Yeah,
know
you'll never
that
be able
that's
to
what we're
go
gonna be
back and see
talking
that other
about.
tint again, and like how sad that is.
Yeah. Oh wow, like yeah, like Echo's hair seems to have grown like 2 inches. That indicates that compared to Arcane season 2, this is at least like 2 years from that. He's clearly grown it out a little bit.
I really want to see that though. I want that. That is kind of the revolutionary stuff that I'm looking for. I want to see the world and the characters change. Like, I want to see Smolder. Smolder needs to grow with the game.
Yeah.
Nunu is apparently a
Yes.
big character. I want to see Nunu age into like this just beastly. He goes from this kid to just like this beastly Freljordian warrior. And he's just this like
Oh my
he
god,
used to throw
yes.
snowballs. Now he throws axes. Okay. And Nunu and Willem kind of changes with him. Like Nunu's like he's kind of this he's still this yeti, but at the same time, now they're dealing with real stuff. Like before, it was kind of okay, they're childish, having fun and stuff. Kind of always has this light, heartfelt feel. But the Freljord is dark, and I want to see Nunu and Willem have to go through that and come out on the other side. Like Willem literally has a scar on his eye, and he's magic, so it makes no sense.
Oh my god.
You know what I mean?
I love that.
Yeah.
Yes. No, yeah, I completely agree. Characters, I mean, especially for an MMO, characters should change. Right? Like, I mean, like, I think luckily, well, World of Warcraft tries to do that, but I feel like not too successfully just because I don't care about the characters anymore. That's just personally for me, it hasn't worked yet.
Yeah,
But I
same.
feel like, even Final Fantasy 14 does a pretty good job with that. The characters actually change personality, like they're not like one day the snarky guy, like 5 years in to this MMO, he's not the snarky guy anymore. All right, he's been through some stuff. Okay.
Hmm.
He's
Yeah,
gonna be a little more like a little more like broody, a little more like emotional, a little more like a freaking war veteran.
yeah. And you
And
got
I
to go hard
love
on
that.
that. It has to be. Maybe we're just because that's what we like. Like we like to see that kind of stuff. But I do think you have to go. You can go the other direction too. Viego. Like originally, he's kind of like this mopey guy. He's all about like, oh no, this. But maybe I don't know. I just like to see characters change. And I feel like we keep going back to the example of they're going through some shit and they come out dark
Yeah,
and
they're
like
going.
messed up.
They're so hard now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know, but like,
Remember when he
I mean,
smiled?
like this is just. I mean, the thing is, like, I love Nunu and Willem because of how wholesome they are right now, and I'm
Yeah.
I'm a Yordle fan. All right, I like me some cutesy wholesome stuff. I like
Hmm.
me little furball people, but like, in a world where we got like the Rune Wars and like Aurelion Soul coming after us, and the Shadow Isles. There's a lot of dark stuff here. I
Yeah.
think naturally, as the characters age, most of them are going to go into that archetype.
Mhm.
I think everyone's gonna go through something at some point in the world of Runeterra. I feel like that's inevitable. So I feel like, like if anything, they'll probably introduce more characters in the future, right? And those
Oh
characters
yeah.
will have like, their childlike personality or their snarkiness, that kind of stuff, or just like, their general like ignorance of like the world around them and stuff like that. But that probably won't stick around for a character that's been around for like a few years. Like I imagine Echo won't always be like the overconfident kid that he is now.
Yeah, we've seen that.
That
Like
just
with
like
his
is
adult
natural. Yeah.
version, he's very cynical and very like,
Yeah.
this not everything works out, Echo. Like he's always talking down to his younger self and he's like, sometimes you have to make the tough decisions, because he's been through some stuff and he learns from his younger self too that, okay, not everything needs to be on you. Sometimes you do need to depend on other people and you need to hear other people's perspectives, that kind of thing. So he learns a little bit from his younger, and he changes, and his younger self changes. But they
Hmm.
change throughout the whole game. Like towards the end, they've both shifted a little bit in terms of how they view Zon and Piltover and this whole dynamic that's going on there. And that's what makes the game great. But I feel like MMOs do suffer from that, where characters kind of stagnate. They just kind of stay the same
Yeah.
the whole time, and I would like to see them change, even though, okay, you go back and play League of Legends because that game's never going to die, and Smolder's still this little dragon. But in the MMO, no, he's not anymore. He's kind of grown up. He's older. Same with Nunu and Willem. Maybe you can release a
Yeah.
skin of them older, but they still throw
Yeah, that's what I
snowballs.
was thinking too, right? Like that's inevitable. Except like I don't know how like they're probably not gonna keep like the model exactly the same. Like I think it'd be weird if they kept Nunu small but older in League
Maybe
of
Willem
Legends.
just gets bigger,
They'll have to
so
get pretty
they
creative with that.
they still work.
They just make Willem bigger. Very possible. They can get creative with it, but yeah, I definitely see that conflict, and I'm like, that's a okay, dude. Like the League of Legends champions can stay the way they are forever. That's perfectly fine as long as they actually grow in the world of Runeterra. I'm perfectly fine with that. There can be some conflicts in the MOBA. All right, it's not a very story driven game, so.
I do think that right now the champions. So right now we know that there's an MMO coming out. That's why I take like a little bit of an extra look at these champions because I feel like they're building out a little bit. They're like filling in missing pieces and they're connecting. So for example, you have the Ambassa Madarda, who's from Arcane. And obviously, a lot of people watching Arcane who don't even know League of Legends, who never played League of Legends. When the MMO comes out, they'll be like, "Oh yeah, Piltover! I remember that place. That show was awesome." But then now they're integrating these familiar characters. They're making them champions. And now they're going to have their own stories that are fleshed out that they can incorporate into the mode. Smolder, I don't think, I'm pretty confident, like 99.99% sure. I've never seen anything about Imperial Dragons for Camavor until now. I don't remember anything about dragons in Camavor ever. And then now all of a sudden there's these Imperial Dragons that are going on in Camavor. And we have this one dragon that happens to be in Runeterra and not in Camavor right now. He's like in Noxus where we
Yeah.
can connect with him. And his ending is I want to return to the ancestral home to usher in a new golden age for Camavor. It's like, wow. This seems like
We're going
very
to
much they're
Camavor.
setting up stuff. Like I'm excited to see the Embassa
Yeah.
Madarda page and see what she's setting up. Like, is she gonna mention something? What if she mentions like, oh, one day I want to freaking take Ixtal for Noxus. I'm like, oh, not Ixtal, Ishtal for Noxus, and like that. Like, I'll be like, wow, that's a setup. But I feel like the Smolder
Yeah.
was added to set up that when you have Hui in Ionia, he was there. He's kind of adding to the Jin lore, and he explores an island that really there's no lore on it going into his character. And so right now, instead of kind of adding characters to what's there, they're like building out even more of the world and exploring new places and exploring new temples and adding to what's there. And I feel like it's almost like they looking at their I can't speak internally, but it feels like they're looking at the map and they're saying there's nothing here. We need to add something. We need to add a new place in Ionia. And for example, they need to add a new place in Ionia because there's not enough. We need to add like a new. Okay, well let's make a champion too and tie him to that place. There's lore around it. And they're like, well, we don't have enough time to make like the temples and stuff. They're like, it's fine. We'll just destroy it all. And it exploded. And then Jin came and just nuked the whole thing and he left. So now just make some ruins. They're like, okay, great. Reuse those for where? Camavor. Boom.
Ooh.
Obviously, the
Wow.
end was just like me messing around. But I do feel like these
Yeah.
newer champions are helping flesh out the world for the Riot MMO, especially in Smolder's case, intentionally. Like they're saying, and one
Oh
day
yeah.
when he is ready, he will return together to the ancestral home to usher in the new golden age of Camavor. We are going to see that one day. Like that's like, you show the knight, you show the sword, you have to use it in a whatever they call it in movies. You have to you show
Oh, I know
the
what
the
you're
knife, you
talking
have
about.
to use it, something like that. You show the dagger.
Yeah. No, there's a thing for that. Oh my god, I learned that
Yeah.
in like my film class in
Me too.
undergraduate.
And that's like the
Yeah.
one thing they teach. Like that's the only thing you get from film class. But yeah, it's like they show the dagger. You have to use the dagger at some point within a certain amount of time. I don't know, whatever it is. But
hmm
I think that that's what they're doing now.
Yeah.
Like they're showing the dagger with Smolder, and eventually we will see that one day in the MMO.
Oh yeah. No, that's something I'm like at this point. Camivore feels like a given, right? Like that was already the most like confident. Like, yeah, this will be an expansion at some point. But Smolder really pushed it over the edge. They're showing their hand now,
Yeah.
and I love that. Like in general, with the champions that they add to League of Legends at this point, especially most recently, I feel like they add characters with purpose. Like
hmm
the character is not just, oh, here's another character in Ionia. This is an Ionian character. And that's like all they are. Like oh, like this is their gimmick and that's it. But like no, they impact Runeterra just by existing.
Yeah.
And that is definitely what Smolder is doing. He's
Exactly.
setting us, yeah, he is giving us more lore just from his reveal alone. And we haven't even like we don't know anything about him yet other than like the given lore that we've just gotten off of him immediately after his drop. So
Yep.
it's like, yeah, they make characters very intentionally for the sake of the world as a whole, rather than just adding characters to flesh out the world.
Yep. Especially with
It's
this lore
very
consolidation
interesting.
that they're trying to go through. They're trying to get all the lore together into one uniform. If they're adding a champion, you know that that champion falls into that uniform canon because they're not going to release something
Yeah.
and then have to change it later. That makes no sense at all. So Smolder's lore is Smolder's lore. And so
hmm
this whole thing at the end, that last line, it's 100% intentional. It's 100% foreshadowing. It's adding a teaser and a teaser to what? It's obvious. The golden age of Camavor.
Yeah, dude. It's genius. Oh, just Riot's like writing team whenever they add stuff like this, dude. Like as if there aren't already enough loose ends in Runeterra, right? Like like they gotta add a whole nother thing about this dragon that's gonna be returning to Camavor now, and like, oh my god, dude. It's just man, oh man. They're setting up a whole lot and so far have resolved absolutely nothing. And that has me very excited.
Yeah, there's
I
so
think
much
it's
story
great.
that's coming that we don't even know which direction we can go, but they all look like good directions
Yeah.
to me.
Yeah, they're all like completely separate from each other. Like, what does Smolder have to do with Akathia? Nothing. But we're gonna have to deal with Akathia eventually. you know? Like, they're all insanely different problems, insanely different, like, just plots that we're gonna have to get through at some point. And I can't wait because I feel like the MMO is just, dude, this is all. I feel like I'm so just Riot MMO brained to the point where I look
That's
at
my
everything.
that
I'm
might
like,
be
that's
my
for the
fault.
MMO. That's for
And
the MMO.
I think we're feeding off of each other too a little bit now.
we definitely gas each other up when it comes to Riot MMO related
Yeah.
lore,
We're holding a tank
if
of
it even
copium
is
and we
Riot
keep
MMO
passing it
related.
between each other.
Yeah.
And then I'm refilling it and you're refilling it. And we're like, oh yeah.
Seriously, guys, League of Legends only exists for the Riot MMO. They
This was
made League of Legends to advertise the Riot MMO a decade later. That's what they're doing.
this was all planned for freaking 12 years or whatever, however long the League of Legends game's been out.
All according to plan. My god. It's seriously at this point it's what it feels like. It's so just my god, I'm so in my head about it and I can't wait for this Riot MMO
I just
because
can't wait for the first piece
clearly
of news,
they're
man. The
setting up
first piece
for
of news is going to set me off. Like I'm already on copium.
it.
The first piece of news when they announced that it's just Runeterra, the name of the MMO is just Runeterra.
I hope
That's
so. That's such a
it's
cool
gonna,
name.
wait, did I ever search runeterra.com? What does that do? Is there like will it take me to
I
Legends
think
of
you
I think it took me
did.
to Legends of Runeterra, right?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure it's what it did before. I think even
Um,
like World of Runeterra, right?
World of Runeterra, I think, took me to the Riot MMO page. Let me see. World of
Yeah.
Runeterra.com. I think World of Runeterra takes you to we're making an MMO, the recruitment page for Riot Games. Runeterra.com takes you to playruneterra.com, which is the Legends of Runeterra game.
Ah. I
But
mean, like, all right. I don't know about you, but I feel like World of Runeterra is just a little too close to World of Warcraft.
yeah,
It's
it
just
is.
they're touching too much. I don't like that.
I don't like it either. It should. I think simple is always better. Take out the
Yeah,
world,
I
take out the
agree.
of. You don't need it. Just call it Runeterra. This is the
Yeah, literally
game.
just call it Runeterra.
Not welcome to
It's
the
such a
world of
good name.
Runeterra. Welcome to Runeterra.
Yeah,
Where you're
dude.
going, World of
Like,
Warcraft?
welcome to the
No.
game and welcome to the world. Welcome to
Yeah,
Runeterra.
exactly. Just call the
So good.
game Runeterra.
So
It'd be
good.
like World War would be called Azeroth. I like
Yeah,
that.
dude.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. It's real good.
Honestly,
It's
I
real
like
good.
that too. It's real good. I mean, I get like World of Warcraft was obviously like just to get people to know, hey, this is Warcraft. Like you
Yeah.
played Warcraft before. This is World of Warcraft. But like
League of
with
Runeterra
Riot,
Legends.
I was just gonna say that. I was gonna be like World of League of Legends.
World of League of Legends
They
Runeterra
got
live.
two ofs in there. That's crazy. No, just Runeterra is all you need. I mean, like, hey, they're already brave enough to drop. I mean, like, they already do kind of plaster League of Legends onto their other titles, right? Like,
Yeah.
I think that don't they always do like like Convergence, a League of Legends story?
Yeah.
Don't they usually do that? Yeah. So
That one
like they
does.
already
Yeah.
kind of plaster. Yeah, yeah. I think the Riot Forge games in general kind of do that, but at the same time, they are brave enough to just call the game like Convergence. You know.
Yeah. They don't call it League of Legends
So
Convergence, and
like,
I think that would actually help it sell better. But you have to think for the
yeah,
longevity, not for like the
yeah,
initial just bump.
yeah, oh, dude, that's so true. One thing I think is so genius about them is that they really are playing that long game.
Yeah.
They are like they are using League of Legends to push like the world, but they're not claiming that the world is League of Legends. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They are building up Runeterra. They are not building up like the League of Legends world.
Yeah.
And I for the long game, that's so genius, dude.
It's
They're
awesome.
shifting that dynamic. Yeah, like they're shifting what they're known for. I feel I like eventually they're gonna be known for League of Legends is like that's their flagship title. I think it always will be, but that's a game part of Runeterra. You know, I think that's what they're going for, and I think it's such a genius move because
Uh,
like they can't live off of that crutch of League of Legends forever because they're not going to attract new players that way.
yeah.
Everyone already knows about League of Legends. Everyone who wants to play League of Legends is playing League of Legends.
Yeah.
So them kind of just like putting it there to be like, yeah, we made that game, but it's not everything we are, is a very smart move.
Yeah.
And it's
Surprisingly,
definitely
I mean,
perfectly
League
set
of
up for
Legends
the
is still
MMO.
getting new players all the time, but like you're right that it's you have to use they have to use what League of Legends has given them, which is, this huge podium to grow and expand and create other titles, and this universe that's built out off of League of Legends. Well, they can. If obviously if
Yeah.
Riot Games just sticks with League of Legends, let's say they never released Riot Forge, never released Legends of Runeterra, like they never release whatever Wild Rift, anything,
Hmm.
Team Fight Tactics, Valorant's not really based on that. It doesn't matter. But if they just never use that platform, they wouldn't even be close to being capable of making an MMO right now. Like you have
Oh yeah.
keep growing, and that's what they're doing. So they have to do that for sure. One thing that I do want to say too. Have you been to the if you type in World of Runeterra just to get to the Riot MMO website where we're making an MMO? That
Hmm.
picture, I love that picture so much because I feel like it's that
Oh, me
perfect.
too.
They knew what they were doing. Like, look at this person, right? They clearly look. They didn't even make her look cool. Like this main person in the middle, she's
Yeah.
got a wooden sword. She's got that green cloak that's like your starting cloak when you first create your character. Her pants are like that first quest. She got those boots. She like delivered some mail, and she got those crappy boots that they don't do anything. but it's +1 stamina. That's what she's wearing. Like her backpack is not like her backpack's way too big, you know, because she doesn't have any storage.
Mhm.
She hasn't reached the bank yet, so she's just trying to hold on to everything. It is the
Dude.
ultimate perfect image for entering the world of Runeterra. Like that's that they're giving. Like I feel like I look at that image, I'm like, wow, that's what it'll feel like to finally be when you enter Runeterra and you're walking on Demacia. Like there's all these guards, the city's alive, and she's just like her jaw is dropped and she's looking up. You know, just like whoa.
Yeah, look at the city of Demacia. No, I completely agree. It's like the very first like piece of art we see for the Riot MMO is a very humble character.
Yes,
And
yes, that's
I
the right
am
word.
very happy about that. Yeah.
That's the right
Cause
word.
that's dude, that's the best part of any MMO for me. It's not when I'm looking like some dragon god. All
Hmm.
right. But I think we've already talked about this to death, but God, I can't stress it enough how much I love to just look like a normal like adventurer. Just a
Yeah,
normal mage, normal warrior, whatever the heck I end up being. I want to look like just another one of those, one of many, one warrior of many.
yeah,
But you know, obviously like personalized. You know, like that's my Yordle. You know, he's dressed up the way I want my Yordle to look 'cause he looks cool. You know, but like at the end of the day, he's still just a Yordle warrior. That's all he is. All he can do is swing that sword, and
yeah.
I love that. And like, dude, yeah, that's
Exactly.
definitely what they're going for
Exactly. We
here.
always go back to
That's
this
the
exact
MMO
point
vibe
all the
they're
time.
hitting. And I feel like I can't stress it enough, dude. I'll talk about it till the day I die. I want to be a humble adventurer because that's when the world feels the biggest, it feels the most dangerous, and it feels the most like you gotta talk to other people to accomplish your goals. Is when you're just another adventurer, dude.
Yeah.
I
She's
live
not
for
ready
that,
to
and
she's
yeah,
not
that
ready
art
to do
expresses
anything.
that.
You know,
Yeah,
she's like ready to
exactly.
hit a target dummy, but she's not even ready to leave Demacia yet. But then you have these guards on the sides of her, you know, they're like walking, they're nothing, no one's like like crazy uh up there kind of thing. But you can think of what she's looking at is maybe, you know, the way I'm looking at it is like she's a kind of this novice character. She's looking at something that is, you know, what she wants to obtain eventually, right? Maybe she's looking at like a guild thing. Who knows?
Yeah, maybe some
Like
like heroic statue or who
yeah,
knows. Yeah.
like that's she is where I want to start, and I feel like they understand that, and the fact that she's looking in awe at something kind of shows like they want you to. I hope.
And
This is
there's
obviously
gonna be some
reading a lot into the
grandeur
image.
to the
Yeah, this is
world.
reading way too much into the image,
We are reading
but
so much of this image, dude, but it's all
yeah.
we got, and I love it. It's really good.
But hear me out. Hear me out. They intentionally made her one look very novice, very new. She's very basic in the world in
Mhm.
Demacia.
Yeah,
Like
she
she's
blends
actually,
in.
yeah, she blends in with the rest of the city. She's just there. She's not like looking down at anyone. She's actually looking up at something that she's, you know, wants to obtain. So I feel like they hit everything that I want in MMO, which is that one, you can recognize people for what they are. She is a novice and
Mhm.
she looks like a novice. Two,
Yeah.
that you're blending in with the world. You're not like sticking out. The player character is a part of the world and not making the world. And then three,
Yeah.
she's looking at something that she wants to obtain, wants to get to. You know, like maybe, could be like a player character up there with some nice armor they just got from the raid, and an actual sword that's not wooden. And she's looking at that. Wow, you
Mhm.
know, maybe I'll do that one day when I get some better pants. That they could have gone a different direction, right? They could have put instead of this, they
Oh,
could have had
okay,
a
like,
person perched on a stoop, and it's like you're entering the right MMO, and he's perched up there looking cool, and he's looking down at Demacia, and he's about to enter Demacia and show everyone what's up. They didn't choose to do that.
yeah,
Like
dude,
he's not. They're.
and,
She's
like
on the street. There's dirt around her.
yeah. Yeah, like, literally compare this to just about any other, like, form of, like, Riot related, like, Runeterra related, like, art, right? Of,
Yeah,
like, the champions or of the landscapes.
yeah. She
Everything
is
is
not a
typically
champion.
very yeah,
Yes,
everything's typically
yes,
very, like, powerful, very
yes,
strong. But this is one of the very few cases where they went super understated with everything in this image. Even the city itself, this like Demacia in this image looks very cool. But at the end of the day, it just looks like a cool fantasy city. It doesn't look
yes.
like it's this like insane, powerful structure. It just
Yeah,
looks like an awesome city that you're gonna get to explore. You're gonna get to
yeah.
run around in it. You're gonna see some cool buildings, some cool shops, and it's gonna be awesome.
It's an
Like, dude,
awesome
they
city.
nailed it with the
You're
city.
entering the city, and guess what? You're not anything. The guards are the one who are protecting you, and the only reason you're alive with your wooden sword is because of these. Look at the. They put 3 guards around her because this girl got
Yeah.
nothing. Like she's nothing in the world. Like there's and they even the little stuff. There's the boy running after his dog. There's some lady walking around
Mhm.
delivering mail. 100% players should be in the world, but I do think with how technology has advanced, I don't want to see a guard just walking around in his linear path. Like, oh yeah, this guy just walks there and then he walks up and then he walks left and then he walks back and then if you talk to him, he says hey, and then goes about his day. Like it should be a little bit more alive, like okay, yeah, a guard, I guess
Yeah.
the guards in real life do kind of do that, so maybe that was a bad example, but like the boy chasing his dog, I don't want to see the boy chasing his dog all the time. Like can he catch him at one point? Can he
Yeah.
go home and goes home to his mom and has like a normal life? That's what I want to see, almost like what Cyberpunk promised. Remember Cyberpunk promising like these day and night
Oh
cycles
yeah.
of these characters living their lives. This lady
Mhm.
in delivering mail, I don't want to see her delivering mail every single time I enter Demacia, where she's never successful. She's always just delivering that one piece of mail, and she's always had a bag full of mail,
Yeah.
and she just
Yeah, she's just
never.
standing in front of the same mailbox
Yeah,
24
I don't
hours a
want to
day.
see that. I want to see like, yeah, she delivers mail and then she goes and does, she has like a day and night cycle kind of thing where she delivers the mail every morning. And then she goes about her day. The rest of the day, sometimes she'll go to the market and she'll do some shopping. You'd be like, whoa, I just saw that lady delivering mail. Now she's shopping for pears.
Yeah, dude. It could literally just be like they have 3 different routines
That would be enough.
that like yeah, exactly. Like oh, today she's just doing daily routine number 2 and it's just randomized. And
Yep.
that's it. I'd be so happy with it cuz there would still be so many different characters all doing different things that are changing throughout the day and it's not the same exact thing over and over again. That's all I need, dude. It could literally just be like some like copy paste stuff. Like, okay, here's the mail lady in Demacia. She basically does the same thing as the mail lady in Bilgewater, just different spots for the mailboxes, and she goes to a different shop.
Yeah.
And that's it.
The shop
And
owner
I'd be
should not
perfectly
also,
happy with that.
with everything, the shop owner should not just be
Yeah.
standing behind the counter all day waiting for you to interact with a stupid look on his face. He should be
Yeah, just staring at the wall.
Yeah, if he's a blacksmith, like you walk in there, sure, sometimes he's standing behind the counter, sometimes he's sitting on a chair. Sometimes he's doing some other blacksmith stuff because he's a freaking blacksmith. And then there's other
Hmm.
times where when you go up to the counter, you need to do something. Yeah, he'll walk back there and be like, "How can I help you?" Or welcome.
Yeah,
Like
dude.
you walk into the store, he'll walk up or whatever. I think
Hmm.
that's kind of what I'm thinking. Like I think The Witcher does a great job, and they're not using the technology of today to do it. The Witcher feels like when you enter a city, I mean, it's a city and it's alive, and people are doing things.
Yeah. Yeah, dude. I even like my first thought was The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask because that's just
Yes.
kind of like a permanent 3-day cycle. But in
Yeah.
those 3 days, yeah, you're gonna find people in different places all the time because like they live out their 3-day life before they die. But but
Okay.
like
Yes. I'm with you. I'm still
but
tracking.
like yeah, during those 3 days, yeah, like you're gonna find this dude with a big mustache standing next to the clock tower. The next day, you're gonna find him in the fruit market, you know? And it's just little stuff like that that goes such a long way.
A little
It's crazy.
variation.
Literally, just have them in different locations at different points in time would
Yes.
be immense.
Yes. This is the way.
Hmm.
Okay.
Dude,
Well, we
I kill for
didn't
people to
we
be like inconvenienced
so
though.
all we touched on was pretty much we hit the smolder topic, which I wanted to talk about smolder, which turned into a huge tangent. And then we did
Camp
not talk
tangent, it
about
happened.
cross character progression or anything like that. So we have to save all that stuff for the next
We hit
episode.
all of our talking points, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, I think we got them all. I got them all.
Yeah. Good work. Yeah. Well, fresh list next week.
You know what? It's always gonna be the same list, and then we'll just run on a tangent.
Dude, we're never gonna finish this one list.
Imagine when we actually have content. That's the problem.
That's gonna be a serious issue. If they release more than one small, minute piece of like news about this MMO, it's going to be problematic. It'll take us like 10 weeks to get through it all.
Yep. So we'll talk more about the image for the Riot MMO website on next number. That's all. We could have made a whole episode just about that image. Now I'm keep looking at it.
It's such a good image. They know what they're doing.
100%, man. I'm so excited. All right, so in seriousness, I hope you enjoyed this episode, and we will continue this conversation in the next one right here in the Brazen Hydra pub in Bilgewater. You can find me at Ngrove on socials and YouTube, and
you can find me at Conquest95 on Twitter.
And to stay up to date on this podcast specifically, you can follow us at the Brazen Hydra on Twitter. You can add us questions, suggest topics to talk about. You can also find us at thebrazenhydra.com. Thanks for stopping by, and we'll see you in Runeterra.
Wow.
No, I'm just joking. We will see you in the next one because Runeterra's a long way away. You thought we were gone. Goodbye.